So good morning. Well, these weeks we're talking about family, how to family. I mean, we're making family into a verb. Like, how do you do family? And fortunately, we have a guidebook, the Bible, and more than a guidebook, it's our authority. It tells us how to do this thing. Now, each week we're launching out of the story of King David in the Old Testament. He was a great, great king. He was given the kind of the name a man after God's own heart. He was a great leader, a great king. He was a great, in so many ways, follower of God, but his big deficit was family. And today we're going to look at a couple of verses that paint a picture of his discipline or lack of discipline of his kids. And we're going to spend the morning talking about how do you discipline your children. So let's turn to 1 Kings chapter 1, and verse 5 says this. Adonijah, that's the son of Haggith and King David, kept exalting himself, saying, I will be king. So he's trying to overthrow his own father, an attempted coup. He prepared chariots, cavalry, and 50 men to run ahead of him. So that phrase, he kept exalting himself. It means this probably happened for weeks or months, that he was preparing this, and he was calling people to his team, so to speak. But then verse 6, but Adonijah's father, David, had never once reprimanded him by saying, why do you act this way? And this is a damning statement of David's lack of discipline. It says he had never once, so not just in this situation, but this was his pattern as a parent, he did not discipline his kids. So can't we just say this? Parents should discipline their children. I mean, that's what parents should do. It's not always fun. It's certainly not easy. It gets tiring to be constantly reprimanding or confronting or correcting our kids. But healthy parents discipline their children. Now, what's the difference between discipline and punishment? Both of them drop consequences for bad behavior. So both discipline and punishment administer consequences. But discipline is rooted in love, in relationship. It's a parent who says it and shows it. I love you, I'm loyal to you, I have your back, but my desire is to correct you and train you to lead and live a good life. It's rooted in discipline. It's rooted in relationship and love. Punishment is just dropping a consequence apart from relationship. And so parents can discipline. A judge in a courtroom punishes. This is probation, this is, community service, this is jail. That's punishment because it's disconnected from love and from relationship. So we're using the word discipline. We're going to start by talking about why we discipline, and then comes the how. Now, on the why, I'm going to give you 3 proverbs. The Old Testament book of Proverbs has wise sayings. This is what a proverb is. It's a wise saying that's generally true. When you read the book of Proverbs, don't read them as guarantees or promises. That's not what a proverb is. So outside of the Bible, a proverb would be, the early bird gets the worm. That's a wise saying that's generally true. Get up, get to work, start, and you're gonna succeed. The early bird gets the worm. But there are plenty of lazy bums who sleep until 11, show up at work at 12, and they close a big deal. Like, it's not always true, but it's generally true. Train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they'll not depart from it. That's a proverb in the Bible. Now, that's generally true, but it's not a guarantee. So here are 3 proverbs about why to discipline. The first one, Proverbs 23, verse 13 and 14. Don't withhold discipline from a youth. If you beat him with a rod, he will not die. Strike him with a rod, and you will rescue his life from Sheol. Now, let's just not get all caught up on the beat him with a rod thing. Okay? I'm not trying to escape a hard sentence. I'm only saying that beat him with the rod is the discipline. It's obvious. The Bible isn't teaching that you get out a stick and beat your son or your daughter this close to death. That's not what it's saying. It's saying if you discipline well, strong even, it won't kill your kid. Okay? Now, the big thing I want to pull out of here is that discipline rescues. It rescues him, her, from Sheol. Sheol is the place of the dead in Hebrew theology. And it's not literally that. It's that when you discipline your kid in love, in relationship, dropping consequences for bad behavior, when you do that, they won't die when you drop a hard consequence on them. And you are actually going to rescue them from a bad place. You're preventing them from ending up somewhere. You're rescuing them. A second proverb, chapter 29, verse 15. A rod of correction imparts wisdom, but a youth left to himself is a disgrace to his mother. Here the big idea is not only does discipline rescue your child from a dark place, it keeps them from going there, but it imparts wisdom. This is the difference between discipline and punishment. Discipline wants to teach and correct and put them on a right path. It imparts wisdom. Now, the statement, a youth left to himself is a disgrace to his mother. When parents have rebellious children who make very bad decisions, there's a sense in which the mom, we can say the dad as well, is embarrassed of the kids' decisions. They still love them. They're still very loyal to them. They still work hard at retaining as good a relationship as they can. But there's a sense of, oh man, I wish, of embarrassment. Okay? Let me tell you, there are plenty of husbands who are sometimes embarrassed of their wife's behavior. And there are plenty of wives who are sometimes embarrassed about their husband's behavior. I mean, they don't love each other, they're not loyal, that they're not committed. So that's the line. But here, discipline rescues and discipline imparts wisdom. Third one, Proverbs 22:15. Foolishness is tangled up in the heart of a youth. The rod of discipline will drive it away from him. So discipline rescues, discipline imparts wisdom, and here discipline drives foolishness out of your kid. There is a school of thought that says children are born good. But that's just not true. It's not true theologically, and it's not true practically. I mean, every parent knows that their kid has foolishness in them. It's natural. A parent never needs to teach their kids how to throw a temper or to lie or to be selfish, because as the Bible teaches and as reality shows us, we all find it natural to rebel and be selfish and to lie. Parents are there to teach their children the unnatural thing of telling the truth and of being nice, because that's unnatural. And what this third proverb says is it admits that foolishness is tangled up in the heart of your child. And part of dropping consequences in love and disciplining them is driving that foolishness away. Lock this in. Children left to themselves will do what all people left to themselves in a fallen world will do. They will make bad decisions that produce pain and turmoil in their lives and the lives around them. Now, this is true for adults. We all need correction. We all need guardrails. We all need discipline, because left to ourselves, we will make bad decisions that will harm us and those around us. Lock this in. Okay, so that's the why. To rescue, to impart wisdom, and to drive foolishness out of our kids. That's why we discipline them. Now the how. It is not my place to tell you that you should or shouldn't spank your kid or do a timeout. It's not my place to say you need to have a reward system, you need to add chores to their life, or you need to make them run around the block 37 times. I'm not afraid of going someplace. I was spanked and I needed it. Like, I'm okay. I'm not scared of any politically correct, who am I going to offend? It's just not my place to tell you how you should discipline your kid, what form of discipline. Every one of us is different. Every one of our family environments is different. Every child is different. For some children, a stern look is all they need. And for another child that's anti-authority, and there's a whole different form of discipline you might need to use. I am not going to tell you whether to spank or not spank or what rod of discipline, what you do. But I am going to give you 3 principles that will help you decide what God wants you to decide. Okay, so here are 3 principles to help you land exactly on the how that you're going to discipline your kids. First one, regardless of what form of discipline you choose, don't discipline impulsively or in anger. Parents, I've done this. We get into all kinds of trouble when we respond immediately, impulsively in anger. We say things we shouldn't say. We drop consequences we shouldn't drop. We overreact. What I'm arguing for is to put a gap between the offense and the consequence. What does the Bible teach? Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. We need to put a gap between what they've done wrong, so they're late for curfew, so they didn't clean up the room when you told them to. That we need to put a gap between their offense and the consequence, so that we can think about it, okay? So that we can process it, so that we can respond appropriately. As I understand it, at different age groups, children have a length of time, cognitively, that you can put between their offense and your consequence. And my understanding is that for like a child ages 3 through 7, cognitively, you can wait up to around 4 or 5 hours before you drop the consequence. And they have the cognitive ability to remember the consequence from 4 or 5 hours earlier. So let's say you go to your 3 to 7-year-old kid, you go to your 6-year-old kid, and you say, you need to clean up your room before supper. You just say that to your kid. Now, you're in charge of their world. So I am not an advocate. Okay, I'm not an advocate of repeating the instruction. God doesn't want to have to say it twice. We shouldn't have to say it twice. So go into your kid's room and say, yay, you need to clean up your room before supper. And walk out. Don't ask them if they heard you. Don't say, now repeat after. Just tell them, because you're training them to submit to you as an authority the first time you ask them. Okay. I'm also not an advocate for trying to instruct them in a form of a question. Like, don't go into your kid's bedroom. Hey, could you please clean up your room if you're all right with that? Are you okay with that? Well, then just be prepared for a no. If it's a question where they have a choice, ask a question. But if it's not a question, then don't ask the question. Okay? Just give the instruction. So I'm also not an advocate for going back in to check on them. Like, you go back a half hour later and say, hey, supper's coming up. Remember, I told you to. No, you tell them, okay? So let's say that your 6-year-old doesn't clean up their bedroom before supper. What you shouldn't do is react impulsively or in the moment. There are very few offenses that have to be dealt with the consequence. You can tell them to stop, but the consequence doesn't have to come. Okay? So enjoy supper, be happy, tell a few jokes. It's no problem. You've now got 3 to 5 hours to pray, fast a little bit after supper. Talk with your spouse if you're married. Say, what should we do to the kid now? And you settle down so you don't respond in anger and you don't respond impulsively. If they're 8 to 12 years old, my understanding is they have 24 hours, where cognitively you can go to them the next afternoon and say, hey, bud, remember how I told you to clean up your room before supper? Hey, you didn't. You disobeyed me. Here's the consequence. And a 13 to 18-year-old has 5 days, which is wonderful. You can let it go for 4 days. You're driving 5th day. Hey, and you drop the consequence on them. The point, put a gap. That will save so many bad decisions as parents. Put a gap between the offense and the consequence. Principle number 2. The pain of the discipline needs to outweigh the joy of the offense. Now, I put pain in quotes, so don't send me an email. Okay? I don't mean beat them with a rod. Okay? I'm just saying that there has to be a discipline that is strong enough to give you a fighting chance of deterring future bad decisions. This has to outweigh the joy. So I was one of those kids where a timeout wasn't a harsh enough discipline. So if I bugged and nagged and tormented my sister, and mom or dad said, go sit in the corner, I got an imagination. That's like a gift. I can sit there for 30 minutes and be in my own little happy world. That wasn't enough of a discipline to deter that behavior. And so I needed something stronger. This is what you have to decide with your kid. All I'm saying is, generally speaking, if the discipline is too light, the behavior will continue. Okay? So an example from this is the Old Testament, Numbers chapter 20. Moses, he is leading Israel, and they're wandering in the wilderness, and they come to a place where there's no water, and everyone's upset at Moses. Moses says, let me go talk to God. God, we got a problem. God says, hey, go and speak to that rock, and I will pull off a miracle, and water will gush out. Just go talk to the rock and say, water, come forth. So Moses comes back to the people, but he's all torqued and angry at them. And he says, hey, you bunch of rebels, do we have to pull off a miracle to stop your whining? And he grabbed his staff and he hit the rock twice. And water gushed out and everyone was happy. But he disobeyed God. God didn't ask him a question. God gave him an instruction. He said, speak to the rock. Moses struck the rock. You know the consequence that God dropped on Moses? You're going to die in this wilderness. You will not get into the promised land. And we think, whoa. That consequence didn't fit the crime. We have that phrase, the punishment should fit the crime. Well, in discipline, that probably isn't something you ought to say a lot. Because the punishment, I'm going to use the word, but the discipline needs to be really big. Because, get this, whether you ask your child to clean up their bedroom before supper or you give them some other big instruction, if they disobey you, the level of disobedience is still the same. To disobey authority is always a big deal. And Moses disobeyed the holy King of Kings. And you can argue all you want. Well, he just hit the rock instead of smell, but God told him to speak. And so he disobeyed. So in that sense, every time your child disobeys you, it is a huge offense because they are defying the God-given authority in their lives. And so drop the discipline that is going to outweigh the joy of the disobedience. Here's the third one. Stay humble, pray like crazy, and keep asking for help and advice. I've said this before. One of the parenting prayers that Joan and I prayed dozens and dozens and dozens of times is, Lord, help our kids to turn out good despite our parenting. That's humble. That's just admitting that we're all on a journey and we're learning on the go. I don't care if you have 2, 3, 4, or 5 kids. Every kid feels like a start over. Because every kid is different. And what worked for the last kid isn't working for this kid. And then you try this for this kid for a while and it works and then it stops working. We're all on a journey of learning to be a parent and trying to figure out this discipline thing. So can we just admit that we're on a journey? It's hard and we beg God for His mercy. Stay humble, pray like crazy, and keep asking for help. Especially dads, I plead with you fathers to talk with other fathers about how to discipline your kids. I can guarantee you, wives and mothers have far more discussions with other ladies about how to parent than guys do. Guys, let's just do this, all right? Get into conversations and say, how do I discipline my kids? What do you do here? Because you and I, we all need the help of other men to guide us in how to discipline. You can read books, you can go to a family therapist, you can do lots of things, but stay humble, pray like crazy, and keep asking for advice. Wednesday, we have this Wednesday workshop, and I will be assigning Matt Gallagher, who's going to be leading this FaceTime, and you can join online or come to the church here. I'll be assigning him several things. One, how should grandparents discipline their children? And the short answer, we don't, right? But how do you do that? How do you speak into the lives of your adult children? How do you do that? We're going to be talking about how discipline changes in the different age categories. And Matt's going to solve all of our problems on Wednesday. Okay? 3 quick takeaways. First, land on a strategy for disciplining your kids. I know there will be a lot of people who listen to this talk on why to discipline and how to discipline. And they'll walk out of those doors and there'll never be a discussion. They'll not give a thought to it. I'm not discouraged by that. I'm just saying that's a reality, and I'm just saying I can't do anything else except tell you that the why and the how. And the how, without apology, it's not my place to tell you the specifics of spanking or not or timeouts. It is my place as shepherd of this flock to give you principles to guide you. And I'm just saying, can you walk out of here if you're a parent and have a conversation with your spouse if you're married? If you don't have kids, talk about what it'll be like when you do have kids, but land on a strategy. Secondly, don't settle. This is big because I still remember what it was like when we had girls growing up in our house, and I felt like all I did was discipline them. And you just get so tired that you just let stuff go because you feel like all you're doing is confronting and disciplining. And I'm saying, can we just work hard on not settling? It's hard, it's tiring, but what's at stake? We're trying to rescue them from Sheol. We're trying to impart wisdom, right? We're trying to like drive the foolishness out of them. And so it's hard, but I'm pleading with us. Let's all encourage each other. Let's not settle. And the third thing is believe that you can do this. I have regrets about my parenting. You may be in a season where you feel like a complete failure as a parent. But God is with you. And there are wise friends and counselors and mentors around you that are eager to try and help if you will only ask. But you can do this. And no matter how much of a failure you might feel that you have been, today is a new day. Today is a new day for you to lovingly discipline your kids, rescuing them, imparting wisdom, and trying your best to drive foolishness out of them. And that is what each of us should be asking God to do in us. Rescue us from future bad decisions, right? Impart wisdom into us, even as adults. And drive the foolishness out of us as adults. God, do that work in me. We're ending each week with prayer. And this week, in a moment, I'm going to ask everyone to stand and to pray out loud on their own. And can you just get past the weirdness or the insecurity? And maybe you want to just whisper, or maybe you'll pray loud. Okay, but I'm in a moment going to ask everyone to stand and pray out loud of 3 different things. One, we're going to pray for the children. And if your kid's here, you're going to pray for you, that you will obey your parents, okay? As adults, we're going to pray for the children of our church and our community. Then we pray, there's just be a few sentences that you'll pray on your own. We're going to pray for parents. And then thirdly, we're going to pray for teachers, influencers, bus drivers, school bus drivers, youth group leaders, but especially these teachers and bus drivers and such who are hamstrung in our schools in so many ways with their ability to even discipline kids, that they don't know, with all the rules and the politically correct stuff that says you can't do this, that we need to pray for our teachers, because it's a hard thing for them to try to rescue kids out of Sheol and impart wisdom and drive foolishness out of their students when they can't really do anything and they're discouraged, and we need to pray for our teachers and influencers. So stand up together here. And I'm going to invite, I'll turn off my mic so I can pray and not disrupt any of you, but we're all, please, praying out loud. Just a few sentences. First, let's pray for our children. Right now, out loud. Now let's pray for parents. And now let's pray for school teachers and bus drivers and influencers where different rules and regulations really hinder the freedom to try to discipline kids. And let's just pray for those teachers and influencers. Father, thank you for hearing these prayers. I do pray for our kids. There are kids in our community being tossed around in abusive homes and foster homes, and they're unloved, and there's low discipline, or there's just abuse. And I pray for the kids in unhealthy and in healthy homes, that you would protect them, Father. I pray for the parents. It is just so hard. We're learning on the go. Sometimes we're filled with insecurity and regret, and I pray that you would give us confidence and humility both at the same time. I pray that you would be with our teachers and our influences influencers who are in situations that don't give them the freedom to drive foolishness and impart wisdom and rescue kids from future bad decisions. So please give them grace and wisdom. And I pray that you would unite the saints of Wichita, that we might all honor family and do everything we can, because churches and communities and cities and nations are only as healthy as the families. Help our church to honor and resource families. Thank you, Lord, for hearing this prayer. Thank you that you are a good Father, and we seek to be children who obey you. You say it one time, we do it. And so help us to be just completely dedicated to being your followers wholeheartedly. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Have a great week. We'll see you next Sunday.
Thanks again for joining us for worship today. Before you go, we wanted to make sure you knew about a couple things that might be really helpful for you, your family, or your life group. Pastor Brent often jokes that the second you walk out of the worship center or turn off your TV after a service, it's really easy to go back to your day-to-day life and completely forget what you just heard at church. We all have busy lives, and I know that's happened to me before. One way to help make these ideas and applications really stick in your mind is to go over the main points again later and actually talk about them with other people. To make that a little bit easier, every week our adult ministry pastor James writes out discussion questions based on that week's sermon. They're kind of written with our life groups and Sunday school classes in mind, but they could also be really helpful for you to discuss as a family, either right now after the service or later in the week. You can find these questions every week on our website if you go to that week's sermon page, or they're also available every week on the homepage of our app. Another tool you may not be aware of is the YouVersion Bible app. Many of you probably already have this app downloaded on your phone or a tablet, and it's a great place to get hundreds of translations of the Bible reading plans, and a lot more to help you understand God's Word. But there's also a tab in the app called Events, and every week here at First MB, we post updates about that week's sermon. You can find all the scriptures that Brent referenced in his sermon, you can download those discussion questions, submit prayer requests, and even listen to a Spotify playlist of that week's worship songs. To find us on YouVersion, open the app and tap the Events tab to search for First MB. Again, we're really grateful that you chose to spend some time with us today. Have a great week, and we hope to see you again next time.